There exists a powerful, nearly forgotten truth about the golden age of cinema, a time before Hollywood's beauty machine perfected its assembly line of sameness. The most captivating, the most desired, the very women who defined global allure on the silver screen did not conform to the polished, hairless ideal that would later become mandatory. They moved with a natural grace, an authenticity so potent it transcended manufactured standards, and they did so while proudly bearing what today's culture might bizarrely label a flaw, their visible body hair. This isn't a footnote, it's a central chapter in the story of raw, unapologetic femininity. These weren't rebels by manifesto, but by effortless existence, proving that sensuality is rooted in confidence, not in conformity. Consider Sophia Loren, the very archetype of Mediterranean magnetism. Her allure wasn't just in the feline eyes or the legendary curves, it was in an attitude of sublime self-possession. That confidence extended to a complete and unbothered naturalness with her own body. On red carpets, at premieres, and in countless film scenes, Sophia would raise her arms with gestures of triumph or drama, and there it was, the dark, soft hair under her arms, fully visible. Far from a secret, it was simply a part of her, as inherent as her accent. On the sun-drenched beaches of Italy, her unshaved legs, with dark hair against olive skin, completed the portrait of a woman who was authentically, wholly herself. Directors didn't just tolerate this, they coveted it. That authenticity was the source of her power, a stark contrast to the increasingly sanitized starlets emerging from the studio system. She was a force of nature, not a product of one. If Loren represented confident naturalness, Katharine Hepburn embodied principled defiance. She dismantled norms not with a whisper, but with a clear-eyed glare. Hepburn wore trousers as a statement, spoke her mind with razor precision, and dismissed beauty rituals she deemed frivolous. This philosophy applied seamlessly to her own physique. She was not meticulous about hair removal, viewing it as an unnecessary concession. On film sets and in captured private moments, the fine hair on her arms and, at times, under them, was visibly present. For a top-tier American actress, this was a quiet, revolutionary act. The studios, in awe of her towering talent and indomitable screen presence, had no choice but to accept it. Hepburn proved that desirability was not contingent on softness or submission, but on strength, intellect, and an unwavering commitment to self-definition. Her appeal was cerebral and powerful, and it rendered the state of her skin utterly irrelevant. The landscape of European cinema provided an even more fertile ground for this unvarnished truth. Gina Lollobrigida, La Lalo, was Loren's fiery rival, and they shared this fundamental trait. Gina famously appeared at glamorous events in exquisite sleeveless gowns, her arms raised in greeting or dance, offering the paparazzi full view of her conspicuously unshaven armpits. The photographs are not scandalous, they are documents of a woman entirely at ease. In her films, any gesture that involved lifting an arm served as a casual reveal. The hair was abundant, dark, and unmistakably part of her legendary, curvy silhouette. It signaled a vitality, a earthy sensuality that felt real and immediate. Similarly, the sublime Claudia Cardinale, with her sculpted, timeless beauty, faced direct pressure from Hollywood studios upon her arrival. They suggested treatments, they hinted at changes. She refused, understanding intuitively that her unique appeal, that wild, untamed quality, was inseparable from her natural state. In masterpieces like The Leopard, her period costumes would fall away with her movements, revealing the same natural underarm hair. It wasn't an error, it was a character detail, a note of humanity in the epic frame. This was not a purely Italian phenomenon. It was a transatlantic thread of authenticity. The impossibly gorgeous Ava Gardner, once deemed the world's most beautiful woman, found a different kind of freedom in Spain. Distanced from Hollywood's rigid oversight, she adopted local customs and let her hair grow. Photographs from this European chapter show her with visible underarm hair, a stark departure from her meticulously managed American image. It symbolized a personal liberation, a reclamation of self away from the studio's controlling gaze. From France came the seismic impact of Brigitte Bardot, who redefined sensuality for a generation. Bardot's signature style was artful dishevelment, messy hair, minimal makeup, and a tan, athletic body that was resolutely natural. Paparazzi swarming the beaches of St. Tropez captured her repeatedly with arms stretched toward the sun, dark underarm hair on full display. American producers, desperate for her market magic, pleaded with her to shave for stateside releases. Her refusal was absolute. They wanted Brigitte Bardot. They would get the complete, unedited version. Her legendary status proved the public wanted exactly that. The commitment to this untouched reality was sometimes an artistic and political stance. Anna Magnani, the volcanic force of Italian neorealism, won an Oscar for The Rose Tattoo with a performance of raw nerve. Her philosophy was one of absolute, fierce truth. She famously instructed photographers to retouch not a single wrinkle. This reverence for the honest marks of life extended to her body. In every film, every dramatic public gesture, her famously hairy armpits were a visible part of her emotional expression. When she raised her arms in anguish or passion, the dark hair was a detail of profound realism, making her characters not idols, but flesh and blood women. The French New Wave icon Jeanne Moreau wore her body hair as a badge of intellectual and sexual freedom. In seminal films like Jules and Jim, her raised arms reveal underarm hair not as an oversight, but as a deliberate aesthetic choice by directors celebrating authenticity. For Moreau, it was a quiet declaration of independence from trivial, time-consuming femininity. This ethos extended to the cool, luminous beauties of the North as well. The legendary Ingrid Bergman brought her Scandinavian naturalness to Hollywood. Studios noted she did not adhere to American hair removal norms. Wisely, they marketed this difference as part of her exotic, European grace. In classics like Casablanca, attentive viewers can spot the light, blonde hair under her arms in certain scenes, a subtle but significant testament to a different standard. Similarly, Jane Birkin, the Anglo-French muse, carried this legacy into the 70s. Her appeal was rooted in a gamine, careless authenticity. She appeared in films and in daily life with unshaven armpits and legs, not as a protest, but as a simple fact of existence. Her body hair was not a statement, it was an absence of a statement. It was just her, and that uncalculated realness became the very core of her iconic status. The list is both profound and surprisingly long. Silvana Mangano in Bitter Rice became an international symbol of earthy sensuality, her sweaty, tired body in the rice fields featuring clearly visible underarm hair and dramatic close-ups, a revolutionary image for its time. Simone Signoret, an Oscar-winning French actress, carried her natural hair with an intellectual's disdain for artifice, her seduction power lying in her magnetic presence, not her grooming. Giulietta Messina, the heart of Fellini's early cinema, displayed her natural body hair as part of her character's vulnerable, working-class reality, a detail her husband-director cherished for its truth. These women, from different nations and acting traditions, formed an unspoken sisterhood of authenticity. They operated under the most intense scrutiny the world had yet devised, yet they retained sovereignty over their own bodies in this intimate way. They were not dolls rolling off a perfectionist assembly line. They were artists, forces of nature, and complex women. Their collective legacy offers a powerful corrective to modern anxiety, that what is innate, real, and unedited holds a power that manufactured perfection can never replicate. Their desirability was amplified, not diminished, by this signature of natural human existence. They remind us that true iconography is born not from erasing the self, but from presenting it, wholly and without apology.